Hello, my dear students. I hope everyone is doing fine. Let us continue our lesson, Chapter 5, Architecture as Per. Let us discuss the Islamic architecture in India and some of the important features of the Mughal architecture, such as gardens, tombs, forts, havelis, baulis, and Fatehpur Sikri. First, Islamic architecture. The Islamic architecture in India dates from the 13th century CE to the present. It borrowed several elements such as courtyards surrounded by colonnades, balconies supported by brackets, and decoration from Indian architecture. Islamic architecture, on the other hand, introduced the dome, the true arch, geometric motifs, mosaic, and minarets to India. The Delhi Sultans brought with them influences from Central Asia, which were reflected in their buildings. Their buildings were mainly constructed in grey stone. The Turkish Sultans employed many Indian craftspeople and adopted many Hindu motifs like the bell, the lotus, and the swastika. The Rajputs and other Hindu rulers adopted the arch in their buildings. Thus, Indian architecture became richer with the fusion of two cultures. An arch is a curved shape constructed over two straight sides, such as in a doorway. The construction of the Alai Darwaza by Alauddin Khilji introduced the true arch to India. The true arch is a curve with a keystone at the center. This produces enough pressure to keep the other stones in place. This allowed for the construction of wider entrances. The dome is a sphere-shaped roof of a building. Mosques were built in accordance with certain principles. A central prayer hall opened into a large courtyard. The minaret was a tall and lean tower used to give the call for prayers. To make the high minaret stable, a system of superimposed stories of decreasing size was made. The mihrab or niche was built into an inside wall to indicate the direction of Mecca, the sacred place of the Muslims. The roof was usually dome-shaped. As human representation is not allowed in Islam, mosques and other monuments were generally decorated richly in geometrical designs, calligraphy, flowers, and verses from the Quran. Tomb architecture is part of the tradition of burying the dead. The prominent monuments of the Delhi Sultanate are the Qutb Minar, the Quwwatul Islam Mosque, the Alai Darwaza, the Tughlaqabad Fort, Firoz Shah Kotla, and the Siri Fort. The Mughal period saw more spectacular and grand structures. Mughal architecture was a unique synthesis of the Indian and the Persian styles. The result was some of the most spectacular architectural creations the world has ever seen. Let's see some of the features of the Mughal architecture. Firstly, gardens. The Mughal rulers laid out several grand gardens in the Charbagh design. The Charbagh is a quadrangular garden divided into four parts. Based on the Persian style, the garden was divided by walkways or flowing water. Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan are credited with laying out beautiful gardens in Kashmir, Lahore, Delhi, and Agra. Tombs. The most beautiful building of Sher Shah's period is his tomb at Sasaram in Bihar. This monument stands on a square platform and is surrounded by water. During Akbar's reign, tomb architecture began to incorporate several Persian styles. Humayun's tomb, built during Akbar's reign, showcases a central dome for the first time. The tomb is a synthesis of Persian and Indian styles. Forts. This period saw the construction of walled forts which served as royal residences with defense capability. Sher Shah built the Purana Killa, which was intended to be the sixth city of Delhi. One of the earliest buildings constructed during the reign of Akbar was a fort palace at Agra. The Delhi Gate, which served as the principal entrance to the fort, and Jahangiri Mahal, built completely with red sandstone, are remnants of this early phase. Later on, the fort was remodeled by Shah Jahan. The Lahore Fort was another fort palace. It contains many ornate structures built by Shah Jahan, such as the Shesh Mahal and the Naulakha Pavilion, Havelis. Another interesting category of structures built during Mughal rule in India was Havelis. These were palatial mansions or homes built by nobles, officers and wealthy merchants. The Havelis were usually large and opulent. They were enclosed by courtyards which had fountain in the center. The Havelis in Shekhawat are known for their magnificent frescoes. The Havelis of Jaisalmer had an innovative design which kept out heat and dust. Tourists came from all over the world to catch a glimpse of the intricate stone-carved zarukhas or balconies found in these Havelis. Moving on to Baulis. These remarkable structures were stepwells built by rulers and rich citizens. Flights of steps led to underground shelters which were built around wells to obtain underground water. Baulis can be found in Delhi, Haryana and Gujarat. Rani Ji Ki Bauri, Queen's Stepwell in Bundi, Rajasthan is one of the largest stepwells built in the 17th century CE. It was built by Rani Nathavat Ji, the wife of Raja Anirudh Singh of Bundi, and is known for its architectural beauty. Fatehpur Sikri. Akbar built a new city near Agra called Fatehpur Sikri. The city was built in red sandstones. There are two broad categories of buildings here: religious buildings and secular buildings. The religious buildings included the Jama Masjid and the tomb of Sheikh Salim Chishti. The secular buildings consisted of palaces such as the Jodhabai Palace and the Panch Mahal, administrative buildings such as the Diwan-e-Khas and the Diwan-e-Am, and other miscellaneous works. During Jahangir's reign, some new and distinctive features were adopted in architecture, namely the use of marble in place of red sandstone, the dome with a more bulbous shape, the use of semi-precious stones in inlay work called pietra dura. The major building that was completed in this period was the tomb of Akbar at Sikandra, near Agra. Another noteworthy monument is the tomb of Itimat-ud-Dawla, the father of Nur Jahan. It was the first structure to be built entirely in marble. With this, let us conclude our class for today. Thank you.